Today we're going to make the quilted border for our Tar Beach project. Now quilts are made by taking small pieces of fabric and sewing them together to make a larger piece of fabric or a blanket. We're going to be using different scrapbook papers and other patterned papers to make our border look like a real fabric quilt. Now a lot of quilts are put together using square shapes, but you can use rectangles and other shapes as well in your quilt. To start our quilt border, we're going to begin by gluing our illustration onto a large background sheet of paper. Now the tricky part about this is you want to glue it right in the middle, and you also want to make sure that you glue it on straight. So we're not going to measure or anything, we're just going to use our eyeballs to really make sure that we do a good job of lining this up. I'm going to take my glue and shake the glue down to the tip, because it probably won't be perfectly full. And then all I need to do is add a little line of glue around the edge. I am not going to put any glue in the middle. The reason for this is, first of all, I don't need glue in the middle. It will stick just fine with it around the edge. Also, if you're not done coloring and you put glue all over the back of this, when you go to try to color it later on, it's going to give it a really weird, bumpy looking texture that you don't want in your picture. So leave that middle part without glue. Now I'm going to line it up. I'm making sure that I have it nice and straight and in the middle before I set it down. And I shouldn't have any glue coming out the sides when I press it to the background paper. If you do have it coming out the sides, that means you used way too much. So make sure you're only using that tiny, tiny line of glue around the edge. Now, after you've got it glued on, we're going to start adding our collage pieces to the edge so that this border looks like a quilt. So I have a big selection of really cool different scrapbook papers and wallpaper scraps for you to use. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to have some fun picking out pieces that you think look nice together. And then we're going to use scissors to start cutting these pieces into shapes that will fit the border. So I like to do that by just putting the shape to the side and then lining it up with the edge and then using my scissors to trim it where it meets the edge of my illustration. And then I can save this piece for later. Now, same thing when we glue on our pieces. You're just going to shake, shake, shake this down and only put a little bit of glue around the edge. It really doesn't take that much glue. And then I can glue that right in place. Now, all of your pieces don't have to be perfect squares. Some of my kids like to sort of do this a little bit more creatively, like kind of like fitting it together like puzzle pieces. Like, for example, maybe I want to put a larger rectangle piece here. And then maybe I could take another pattern and fill in the rest of that side right there. So it's really up to you. Some kids like to have all their pieces match like perfect squares and all fit together perfectly in a row. But some people like to have their quilts be a little bit made up of different types of shapes that fit together. So it's going to be up to you. There's all different kinds of quilts in the world, so you can kind of pick the shapes that you want to use in your quilt. The goal of making these quilts is that we do want to cover up all of the background paper. So when we're done, none of the background paper should be showing. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for you to get your shapes to fit together nicely and accurately so that they don't have a lot of that background paper showing through. There we go. And if my shape is a little bit off, I can always just kind of tuck it under my other shape, tuck it underneath my illustration, and that will kind of make it look like it fits a little bit better. That's kind of a problem-solving thing we can do. I'm just going to keep on going until my entire border is filled up with collage papers. When you're done, your whole entire border should be filled up with shapes, just like I've done this one here. Now, when you filled in all of the background, we'll be able to add some marker lines that look like little stitches that are holding our pieces together. And then it will really start to look like a quilt.